Welcome back, everyone. Today's Read Aloud is going to be on a story called Angelina and the Butterfly. This story was written by Catherine Hollibird. It's based on a TV series called Angelina Ballerina. Catherine Hollibird and Helen Craig have created a series of children's picture books. So this one is Angelina and the Butterfly. I want to flip to the back really quickly because on the back of storybooks, it often gives us a description of what's going to go on in the book and lets us decide if we want to read it. It gives us a little bit of a summary or a short sequence, or they put together the events of what goes on in the story. So this says, when Angelina finds an injured butterfly in the park, she brings it home to care for it. Soon, the butterfly is better, but now Angelina doesn't want to let it go. But then Henry accidentally sets it free. What will Angelina do? So this gives us a little bit of an insight or a little bit of a look into what the story is going to be about. So let's go back to the front. Angelina and the Butterfly. What a perfect day! Angelina smiled at her best friend Alice. Angelina always loved to go on Miss Lily's special picnics in Big Wood with her friends from ballet school. And today, even her little cousin Henry was invited to join the fun. So our characters in this story are mice. The hungry mouselings very quickly ate all the delicious pies and cakes. Then Angelina and her friends jumped up to play. "Oh, look!" cried Angelina as a large pink butterfly landed on her paw. "Isn't he beautiful?" Everyone crowded around to admire the lovely butterfly. "Can I hold him, Angelina?" begged Henry. "Absolutely not," said Angelina. "Look, he's damaged his leg. You might hurt him." She showed her friends the butterfly's twisted leg. "I'm going to have to look after him myself," Angelina declared, and she carried the hurt butterfly very carefully all the way back to her cottage, with Henry and Alice following behind. So you can see the butterfly landed on her right there, and this is little Henry. This is Angelina. "I'm calling my butterfly Arthur," Angelina told her parents, "king of all the flowers, trees, and sky." Mr. Mouseling found Arthur a large glass jar, and Mrs. Mouseling brought Arthur some... Mr. Mouseling found Arthur a large glass jar, and Mrs. Mouseling brought Arthur some leaves. "Please, can I put Arthur in the jar?" Henry asked, jumping up and down with excitement. Angelina shook her head. "You might drop him," she said as she gently put Arthur in the jar herself. "And now he needs to stay in the house and rest," Angelina added firmly. So she wants to take care of the butterfly, and she's afraid Henry's going to hurt him. So there's the butterfly in the jar. Is this a story that could really happen? I don't think so. I don't think a mouse would take dance lessons, and I don't think they go on picnics, and I don't think they would rescue a butterfly. The next morning, when they looked in the jar, Arthur was beating his wings against the glass. "Arthur's flying!" cried Henry happily. "Maybe he wants to go back to his family," said Alice. But Angelina knew better. "This is his home now," she reminded them. Angelina and Alice went to have their breakfast while Henry sneaked back into the room to have another peek at Arthur. Very carefully he lifted the lid off the jar for a better look. Ping! The lid sailed into the air and Arthur flew out of the jar. "Oh no!" cried Henry. "Come back, Arthur!" So he accidentally let him out, didn't he? How do you think Angelina's going to feel? Do you think she'll be sad? Maybe a little angry? Henry chased the butterfly around and around Angelina's room, but Arthur was too fast for him. Then, just as Angelina came through the door to see what all the noise was about, Arthur flew out the window and disappeared. "Henry!" cried Angelina. "I'm sorry," wailed Henry. "It was an accident." "We have to find Arthur," Angelina shouted, and she raced out the door with Henry just behind her. So Angelina's a little bit upset. The two mouselings ran up and down the cobbled streets of Chipping Cheddar, looking everywhere and asking everyone, but no one had seen a pink butterfly. Angelina was so tired she sat down and burst into tears. "Arthur's gone forever," she sobbed. Henry tried to think of something nice to say. "Maybe Arthur's gone back to Big Wood," he whispered. Angelina jumped to her feet. "That's it!" she cried, and she raced off down the road again, with Henry running as fast as he could to catch up. So So there they are looking in the town. And look, he's trying to comfort Angelina because she's upset. They reached the woods just as it was getting dark. Angelina thought she saw something pink in the bushes and ran to catch it. "Arthur!" she shouted, but Angelina's feet got tangled in the creepers. Then she tripped over a log and fell head over heels into a deep, dark pit. Henry rushed after her and bravely reached down to save her when, oops, he tumbled into the pit himself and landed with a thump next to Angelina. "Ouch!" he cried. So there she is, getting tangled up. These are the creepers. They're like weeds. They've tangled her up and she falls in here, and then Henry falls in behind her. How do you think they're feeling? Probably pretty scared. It was cold and muddy down in the pit and much too deep for them to climb out. "I'm scared," Henry whimpered. Suddenly, Angelina wasn't angry with Henry anymore, and she gave him a cuddle. "Don't worry, Henry," said Angelina, even though she felt worried too. "I'm really sorry about losing Arthur," Henry sniffed in a tiny voice. "It's okay, Henry," Angelina forgave him. "I know you didn't mean to lose him." So that was very nice of her. She stopped being mad because they were both scared, and it was better for them to be friends with each other and be nice to each other when they're this scared and in this situation than to keep being mad at each other. As the hours ticked by, everyone in the village came to join the search for the 2 lost mouselings. "They're not at my house," panted Alice. "And they're not down by Miller's Pond," sighed William. "Oh, where could they be?" cried Miss Lily, wiping away her tears. Suddenly, Alice looked up, and there was Arthur fluttering just over her head. "Quick!" she shouted. "Let's follow Arthur!" So here's the whole town looking for them, and here comes Arthur. So they're going to follow him and see if he can find them. The butterfly flew off towards the woods, and everyone scrambled through the mud behind him. Before long, they could hear Angelina and Henry's shouts for help. "Thank goodness you're alive!" cried Miss Lily as Mr. Mouseling pulled the two mouselings out of the pit. "But how did you find us?" asked Angelina. "Arthur showed us the way," smiled Alice. Everyone looked up to thank the butterfly, but Arthur was already gone. Poor Angelina burst into tears. So here they were following the butterfly, and then this is when they found Angelina and Henry. The next day, when Henry and Alice came over, Angelina was still thinking about her butterfly. "I don't suppose I'll ever see Arthur again," she sighed. Just then, a beautiful pink butterfly appeared and perched on the tip of her nose. Do you know what it means to perch? If it perched on her nose, that means it sat on her nose. "It's Arthur!" cried Henry. "Let's put him back in the jar." "No!" cried out Angelina. "But he'll fly away again," Henry whimpered. "I know," said Angelina, "but being trapped is awful, and to be happy, butterflies need to be free." So she didn't want to keep him trapped anymore. She wanted to let him be free, didn't she? Then Angelina waved goodbye, and Arthur fluttered back up to the sky and joined a crowd of beautifully colored dancing butterflies. So there she let him go, and he joined in with all of his friends and family up in the sky. So that was a really cute story, and that story made me want to make my own butterfly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a toilet paper roll, and you can color it or paint it, or you can wrap construction paper around it, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this teal color, and I'm going to wrap it. Actually, I'm going to figure out the size. So it needs to be that big, and I'm going to cut it. I've got it, and I'm going to wrap it around my little roll. And I'm going to take my tape, and you can glue it or whatever would work best for you. And I'm going to tape it. So this is going to be the body of the butterfly, like this part. That's what I've got now. Now for the wings, I'm going to make mine pink just because the one in the story was pink. I'm going to fold my paper in half. Fold it right in half. And then I'm going to start cutting up here. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to do a pattern. But I'm going to do it with pin first so you guys can see it. So I'm going to do 1/2 of the wings. So I did it. the top half, and then I'm going to do the bottom half. And if you look like this, when I cut along this line and I open it up, the wings are going to be the exact same shape on both sides. So now that I've got my wings drawn, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut them out. Because a butterfly's wings are identical. I didn't know if you knew that. Identical means they look the exact same. So when I trace it and I cut them like this, that helps make them look more alike and be shaped the same way. Because if I had to draw them separately, mine would be a little crooked. So I've cut out my wings, and it looks like this. So I'm going to flip it this way, and then I'm going to take my body, and I'm going to tape it in the middle. So see, we have the body and the wings. And you can glue them. I'm just going to tape them to be quick. And you don't have to use colored paper. You can use just plain white paper, and then you can color it and paint it yourself, and then you can make it look how you want. So right now I have this much of a butterfly. Now I want to decorate my wings. So up here I'm going to do some circles. Do my circles over here. Down here I want to do some squiggly lines. And they don't have to look the same on both sides, but real butterflies have the same patterns or the same markings on their wings on both sides. So mine looks like this. And then if you want to color it more, you can use different colors, and you can use markers or paint or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to get out a couple markers. And since I have pink paper, my marker colors don't show up too good. It kind of makes them funny looking. So I've got my butterfly. But now I want to give her a face, so I'm going to draw some eyes. So now she's got a little face. And lastly, I need to give her the antennas. So what I did was I just took a piece of pipe cleaner and I cut a piece off and I kind of curved them to make the antennas that they go up and then curve around like this. And you can use pieces of paper and cut them and make them look like the antennas. You could use twist ties like off of a bread bag. You could use a number of things to do your antennas. But I'm just going to use, I'm just going to use my pipe cleaner. So I took some tape and I'm going to tape them back in here on her head. So now, I've made my own butterfly. Bye guys, thanks for watching.